This is Barbara Nicolato, Nick Snacks, with the Bello's design team. Today I'm going to show you how to make a peekaboo card. The sentiment shown in the hole will change when you open the card as a new panel comes into place. This can be done with changing sentiments or even with changing images, whatever you decide to put in the peekaboo hole. Let's take a look at the materials required for this project. I'll be using 3 sheets of paper. The back of the card will be 4 1/4 by 5 3/4 inches. The front of the card will be 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 inches. And the inside, 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. These will need to be scored with my scoreboard and bone folder. With one of the scraps left over from this cardstock, I cut a 2 1/8 inch circle with a die. For this project, I'll be using a 2-inch circle die. These are from Cherry Lynn, and this grouping is called Silver Stacker M4. I'll be using the 2-inch circle. Cherry Lynn also has this group called the Little Stackers XM4, and it is this one, 2 1/8 inch, that I used to cut this circle, slightly bigger than the 2-inch circle. What I like about this group is that these go in increments of 1/4 inch. These go in increments of 1/4 inch. And they fit together, and you can go every 1/8 inch using one of each. So what I ended up doing is I have another group from Cherry Lynn called the Scalloped Circle XM5, and I used the 2 1/2 inch scallop with the 2-inch circle, like so. And in my die cut machine, I was able to make 2 of these little fancy circles with a hole cut out in them that I'll be using in my card. Of course, these 2 are optional. You could just have plain circles. I'm also going to be using the Art Glitter Glue Designer Dries Clear adhesive. I will be using the Cardio Peg and the Lavinia Stamp blocks. Tear tape, double stick tape. My inks will be VersaFine Clear Nocturne. And then I have these 3 colors from Lavinia Elements ink. This is Paprika, Olive, and Sundance. I will be using the Signo Uniball UM153 in white. I have the red and the yellow glitter pens, also from Signo Uniball. And I'll be using Posca in red and in yellow. The stamps that I've chosen for this project are from Cardio, the set called Say It With Flowers. I've chosen these 2 sentiments. And the Lavinia stamps I've chosen 385 Moments Like These, 189 Wild Poppies, 683 Silhouette Foliage, 214 the Mini Flower, 256 Mini Flowers, and a couple of butterflies. 623 is the Mini Flutter, 444 is the Flutterby Mini, and 126 butterflies. This is actually a set of 4. The Silhouette Foliage comes in a set of 2. This is one of the 2 stamps. You'll also be needing a pencil with an eraser. Let's start by scoring our cardstock. I'm going to take the back and I'm going to score it at 5.5 inches. And this is going to leave a tab that's a 1/4 of an inch wide. Then the inside of the card, I'm going to score at 4.25. And the front of my card will be scored at 2.75, which means I'm going to move this. There we go. Then I'm going to fold and burnish. My next step will be to use my die cut machine, and I'm going to take the front part of the card that I folded, and I'm going to place this 2-inch circle die in the upper right hand corner. And I need to make sure that this die is not going to cut through this back sheet of paper. So I'm going to eyeball this right there. Okay, I'm not going to need this circle for this project. Next, I'm going to take the inside of the card and I'm going to place a circle. I'm going to die cut a circle in the upper right hand corner again. This circle, or the two, I'm going to cut through both layers, and it's going to have to line up with the circle that I just did on the front. So in order to facilitate that, I'm actually going to make sure they're together at this end here. And there. I'm going to cut again, lining the die up with the front of the card. Now, this is going to make a mark and possibly cut out the inside layer. So I used this actually as a template. I'm going to put the front aside, and here's the inside. And I'm going to cut this again. Now I know exactly where that die should be. And again, I will not need these two circles for this project. So this is what my inside looks like. Now would be a good time to take that piece of scrap and cut out the 2 1/8 inch circle, which I have already gone ahead and done. This will be used in the project. And if you're so inclined to cut the scallops, this would be the time to use the scallop and the circle die together. You would put them on your colored cardstock and maybe even use some low-tech tape to hold them together while you pass it through and cut. And like I showed you before, this was my result. It does not have to be done. This is an option. I'm going to start creating from the front of the card, and I'm not going to worry about a sentiment because the sentiments are going to be going into the circle cut areas later. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to start stamping. I'm not going to worry about this area in here because I could always pull out a black pencil or a black marker and go over that area. If you're using a MISTI, you could just leave it in place and continue to ink and stamp it till it's a little bit darker. I want to add another pair of flowers like these right over here behind her wings. So I'm going to ink up my same fairy stamp, except I'm going to be careful to only ink up the flowers. I've decided to bring in my Kuretake Zig Clean Color. It's a brush, like a watercolor brush pen. And I'm going to, the color is olive. And it's a really nice match for the Elements ink olive. And I'm just going to fill in some spots here, grass, and some stems for these flowers here. And I see I've got some smudges here, and a way to clean that up would be with the Uniball pen to just go over it in white. Red is pretty hard to clean up, but when that dries, I can go over that again. Now, I'm going to work on the inside of the card. So that would be this one here. Okay. Now, this part is going to be covered with glue, some kind of adhesive, or the tape. This is the part I'm going to decorate. And my idea here is to put flowers and a lot of butterflies. Trying something a little different. Instead of stamping this in green, I'm going to stamp it in red. And then I will go over the stems with green. Okay, here's where the 2 1/8 circle comes in. I'm going to stamp a sentiment on that one. When the card is open, I want to say, butterflies are self-propelled flowers. The next sentiment we're going to actually put onto the card. But before we do that, let's set this up. I'm taking the back part of the card and I'm going to put some tear tape, score tape, double-sided adhesive right here. So this is 1/8 of an inch size here. Now I'm going to take the inside part of the card and I'm going to attach this very end to here, and I'm going to be very, very careful that they meet at the end. So I've got the back, the inside. Now, in here, I'm going to put the sentiment that I want you to see when the card is closed. And I have to stamp it in this circle. So here's where my pencil comes in with the eraser. I'm just going to make a few very light lines so that I know where my sentiment should be stamped. All right, so here I have the one that says, "There are always flowers for those who want to see them." I'm going to fix the front of the card. The way to do this is I'm going to put adhesive all on this part, and then I'm going to line the right edge up with the right edge here, and the circles should all meet nicely. There we go. Now, this piece folds right in here. To finish the card off, we're going to need to attach this. This will show only when the card is open. As you see, when we open the card, this middle flap right here moves in like that. So what we're going to need to do is attach this to that movable flap, which is actually part of the front of the card. So I'm going to put it in here, hold the card open, and center this like so. Oh dear. All right, let's try that again. Just a little bit is hanging out. So what I'm going to do is lift up this flap of the front of the card, and I'm going to glue that circle down. Here you can see it better, how I glued it down. Okay. All right. So this is actually the front of the card, the inside of the card, and the back of the card. When we put it together, the front little flap folds in like so. There are always flowers for those who want to see them. Butterflies are self-propelled flowers. And here is your peekaboo card. I'm just going to take a few moments now, and I'm going to color in some of those butterflies, maybe add a little more sparkly. And I'm going to slightly trim off this little piece, which is actually the back part of the card, so it doesn't show like so. When you open it, as you would with any card, you would hold it here and open the card like so. And there's our peekaboo card. I'll show you the finished product when I'm done coloring. So here's my finished card. I've added some glitter, and I've added a little flower to the sentiment. Over here I added a little butterfly. I again used my gel glitter pens to give it a little bit more flashiness to it. And I've put some white ink onto the flowers to accent them a little more. And here's what you have. Now, another thing that could be done with this card is the sentiment could be on the card, and then you could have a picture that changes, you know, some type of stamp image. So when you open it, it changes. I've cut the side here so that it's all even. And this is an A2 size card finished, which means it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you've enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please see below the video for a complete list of supplies and visit us at Bello's for most of your crafting needs. If you haven't already, won't you please join our 2 Facebook groups so you can share your creations and find inspiration. Have a happy crafting day.